It's your boy from the air, Yang, Eric, whatever you know me as, depending on what channel you follow. But I am here to give you guys a realistic XRP price target, right? I haven't been too heavy into the crypto space like I used to because of just the macro environment. I go where the money is going, right? And right now the macroeconomics are starting to swing back into crypto. But I've been seeing a lot of people lying about the price that they think XRP is going to go to. Now, a couple thumbnails down here. These people, as we get through the video, you're going to see they actually kind of have some like good price targets, right? Um, I'm really just here to make this video as a disclaimer for anybody that's seeing videos on TikTok or seeing YouTube shorts that are, YouTube shorts that are promoting the fact that XRP, what it could be. Oh, XRP could be $1,000. XRP could be um, a million, $10,000. Like, that's crazy, and that's propaganda, and that's just a lot of gurus trying to promote something to you, dangling the shiny object in front of your face so that way they can dump on you. Not saying that they are going to dump on just you, right? But that is a part of the gimmick. Not saying any of these creators down here are doing that, right? I think some of their price targets are actually realistic, but I'm talking about the rest of the internet that's going crazy, losing their mind, having this hysteria about where XRP is going to go to. So we have two scenarios, right? I have a real scenario that I have right here, a real scenario, and then I have a guru scenario. So let's talk about the guru scenario, which is that the world adopts XRP. It replaces Swift, and then it's like similar to Visa, where it's managing tons and tons of transactions, about 45 billion transactions, and it hypothetically goes to the moon, right? That's the guru scenario, right? That a lot of people are putting out there. Then there's the real scenario, which is that there are more people, retail investors, right, that are just hype about XRP, and then there's some institutional backing, right? XRP is also applying to become a bank, right? There is some macroeconomics that that's supporting them, supporting this time for crypto. So this is like a real scenario, right, where they get so a little bit more institutions involved, and then there's a large retail following that's putting money into Ripple. So I don't want to take too long with this, right? This is how I calculated. Let me make myself smaller. How about that? So this is how I calculated the target price, right? Price target. It's just the projected market cap divided by the projected circulating supply. So the two keywords, right, the multiple keywords in this that is projected, right? That's the first one, projected, and then here, just so you can come up with your own price targets because you might feel like my math isn't appropriate, right? And then the market cap, and then the circulating supply. So, one second. If you wanna look up, if you wanna get this information yourself, right? You can go to Arkham intel.rkm.com or Arkham, right, and then just type in XRP. So we go to XRP, and it gives us the information about the coin. Up here we have the total volume, we have the current market cap, you have the fully diluted value, you have the current supply, and then the max supply, which is the max amount that is available of XRP. So with this information, this is how we calculate the target, which is right now we're at like 172 billion in market cap. We get to 300 billion market cap, right? Which is just, let's say that's like almost double, right? That's realistic for like the hype, retail investors, institutions coming in. We double. Um, it would set our price target at $5, right? Now that scenario where um, we replace Swift and XRP is on everybody's ledger, and it's replacing other forms of payment. We have a 3 trillion right? Keyword $1 trillion market cap, and we have that a 98 billion supply. So the reason why this isn't the supply numbers aren't exactly the same is because XRP has what we call a burn rate. So burn rate is just pretty much for every transaction, right? XRP burns about point zero zero, I don't know, 0.01. Well, Ripple burns 0.001 XRP. That's how much they burn. So if we're doing in this scenario 45 billion plus transactions um, of XRP, like, on a yearly basis, we're gonna burn maybe around like a billion, like somewhere like a billion or something like that, or like 100 million. I forgot where I have the math at. But basically, it's going to take away. It's going to take away from the supply. So that's why the numbers aren't exactly the available supply. That's just the deflationary. The deflationary aspect of Ripple. So that gives us a price target of $30. Now, this is where I still could be wrong, but this is where I still prefer to give you guys the real math, to give you guys the real understanding of what's happening out there, so you can develop your own price target. These are my price targets. This is what I deem to be realistic, right? You have your own mind, your own way to calculate this and come up with your own decision. There's other ways to come up with price targets, but for crypto, because they don't have there's no earnings, there's no price to earnings, there's no EPS, like earnings per share, or nothing like that. We have to settle for a projected market cap and projected circulating supply. So we just gonna get straight into the key points about why I feel like my price targets are realistic. So number one is that XRP, right? It has a burn rate that is just too slow to be considered actually deflationary. Like, we're talking like trillions, if not billions, of transactions happening through Ripple. It's not going to take away from the circulating supply or the total available supply. It's just never going to do too much. And then also, it's set up to decrease how much it burns as the supply gets smaller and smaller. So it's kind of like I'm assuming it's kind of like a taper. Like, it may not be exactly like this, but it's somewhere like this where it's gonna level out to some degree. So it's not really deflationary. It's not like they're gonna burn huge chunks of the supply that's gonna create shocks that's gonna shoot it up. Could it happen? Yes, they could just burn 10. They could burn 10%. There's been rumors of them burning 10% of the supply, burning a large amount of the supply at once, and that supply shock could shoot the price up, but it's unlikely. So then another thing about this, right? When you have people talking about XRP to $1,000, $500, $10,000, and how much money you would have made if you put $100, they're not taking into account the market cap, and then the supply. We would need XRP to surpass Bitcoin, gold, and a bunch of other assets in market capitalization for it to hit $1,000. XRP in the foreseeable future is not going to be bigger than gold or bigger than Bitcoin. I hate to sound like a Bitcoin purist, but that is the truth. Like, it's just highly, 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 highly unlikely. And then when we throw in the kind of like the macro of the crypto space, right? The user experience for adopting people into crypto is still terrible. It's still terrible. Like, they're getting better. They're using like two-factor authentication, using your face and other things like that. But for most people, you still gotta have like pass keys. You still gotta like do a bunch of different things. I gotta set up this wallet, and I gotta transfer this wallet. Then I need money in this and this for the fees. It's just too much stuff for the average ordinary person to adopt XRP, right? Just not even XRP, just most crypto in general. There's still tons and tons of people who do not own any Bitcoin at all. The closest a lot of people get to open the most regular person, the closest that a person will get to to owning like Bitcoin, like the most generic person that will get to owning Bitcoin is them having Cash App, and that's the easiest. That's the easiest user experience for people to have to own Bitcoin. Beyond that, Coinbase is kind of simple, and they have other things that are kind of simple. But most people, if they have a Cash App, there's a higher chance they will have Bitcoin, but it's still unlikely for them to adopt it. Um, so for XRP to be worth $1,000, to be worth $10,000, like some of the stuff that these gurus and these random people are saying online, it would have to surpass Bitcoin itself. So ask yourself, do you think XRP is going to be bigger than Bitcoin? If you say yes, by all means, go forward with your $1,000 evaluation. I'm just saying this for the people who are. I'm giving this information for the people who are not sure, who don't know who to trust, who um, don't know about the space, so that you don't get dumped on. So with all this, my advice is that you need to have a soft target in mind, right? A soft target. A soft target is just designed for you to either take out all of your money or take out a portion of your money. Just roll some of the money out, because crypto moves in cycles, right? It moves in cycles. You're gonna get the crazy bull run, and then you're gonna get the dump where it's gonna or correction where it's gonna correct itself 60% sometime, 20% if you're lucky, but it might be 60-70% correction. And if you're stuck holding, you're SOL on all the money that you could have made from just pulling it out. And that leads into the final key point, which is you have to understand the difference between a trade and an investment. If you plan on holding XRP for more than 3 months, it's more likely an investment than a trade, right? A trade, you're not going to be holding on this for more than a quarter. If you have to hold XRP until uh, 2027, it is an investment. So you have to understand which mindset you're approaching this in, so that way you can develop your soft target, right? If you're investing into XRP because you believe in its long-term growth and stability, right? Then the when it corrects itself, right? When it corrects itself and it comes back down 60-70%, you're just going to DCA into this, right? You're going to dollar cost average and continue to buy because you believe it's going to go up. If you're trading XRP, right, you want to make your money and get out, right? You might not get out at the exact top, but when it corrects maybe 30% from its highs, then you just leave. You just exit, and then you wait again for the crypto cycle to come back through and enter back in. So let me go to the chart, right, and show you what this looks like. I'm gonna show you guys my soft target. And this is kind of like this is a very very old trade. Really an investment. Can't even say it's a trade. I tried to make it a trade, right? But it's been in this. We've been in this sideways movement for how long? I say we've been in this sideways movement for 184 days, right? So it was supposed to be a trade, and it's just now it's just you're just sitting, right? So my soft target is right above the previous highs at around $3.55. I came up with this soft target not using the market cap, or circulating supply. I did this um, by doing it's called the average true range. So average true range, you're basically you just compile the data. You compile the data from like the last, like, however long you want to do, last couple years, and then you're just running descriptive statistics to see what are the probabilities that XRP is going to move 30% or 50% or whatever the case may be. You line the probabilities up, and with that you can determine what your soft target would be based off of your entry and where your stop loss could be. I'm not covering that in this. I'm not going to cover that in this video, but I'm just going to explain my soft target, and then I'll show you guys a realistic target with like more adoption, more institutions adding in, and then the unrealistic one, which could happen, because I will say 100%, like you could get the best case scenario for anybody that's thinking XRP is going to go to a crate. Well, let me get there. I'm sorry. My soft target is right above the highs, right? It's probably going to shoot if it breaks this high, it's probably going to shoot to like the 4 5 5 range, right? But just think about the percentage gains on this. That's 48%. That's not bad. That's not bad. And when you include leverage in this, it gets even crazier. So, right, let's talk about the best case scenario, which I think is very ideal, very likely to happen, is that maybe by the end of 2025 or like December, I'll say November, December, it depends. Don't quote me on that. We see XRP at $5, right? At $5. That's a seven from where it's at right now. That's a 75% gain. If you add leverage to that, that is a lot of money. Even 75% by itself. So if you put $1,000 into XRP and it gets to $5, you're making $750. Now, is it worth it? It depends on how much time you have to sit. You have to sit and wait for that to happen. Obviously, the more capital you have, the more money you are going to make from this move, which is dangerous. Not dangerous. It's smarter the more money you have, but it's also dangerous for the people who don't have a lot of money. When you don't have a lot of money, what can end up happening is that you use too much leverage, and that way you end up burning an account, right? With leverage, with smart leverage and good risk management, this 75%, right? Let's say you go on a broker, some type broker that allows you to use leverage, trading platform, and you do 10 times leverage. That's 750%. So that $1,000 instead of 750, it's $7,000. Let's say you do 50 times leverage. That's like 35. That's like $35,000. That might be more feasible for people who are trying to get a lot of money out of this XRP move. I do think $5 is realistic. It's possible. We could see this. Will it happen this year? I don't know, but I know for sure XRP can hit $5. We could see another price suppression. We could see it break the highs and then just range in here before it ever hits there. Now let's get to the crazy target, right? Look at this. I gotta just go to. Let me just go to the weekly. This is the guru target. As you can see on this chart, this is like crazy. Doesn't mean it can't happen. So let me talk about that scenario that I was bringing up before, where for whatever reason the stars align. It happens all the time where we have no idea how something does this, but let's say XRP goes to $30. That will require institutions, right? A lot of institutional buying. The institutions, meaning like the hedge funds, banks, different reserves, they will have to buy a lot of that money, and a lot of that XRP or the Ripple supply, and they will have to hold. You will also need a bunch of retail investors to come in. They will have to buy, and they would also have to hold, right? You get something where on top of everybody buying, there's some type of crazy supply shock where they burn 20% of the available supply, and that sends price flying. Another thing could be just large liquidations, huge whale liquidations that could cause price to push and enter into a price discovery zone, right? Where now we're just moving. It will require a lot of people and coordination for this to happen. This will also require for them to have things go well, where they become a bank. Other countries start to adopt them. There's so much macroeconomics that are involved in us getting to that $30 target that I don't foresee XRP hitting $30 this year. Is it impossible for XRP to hit $30? No, it's not impossible. Is it probable for this year? Most likely not. I'm gonna say most likely not. It could always, we've seen crazy things happen in crypto. So it's like for me to say that it's not possible would be a lie. But just using math, using what I know, I don't think it could happen. Maybe in a couple years, maybe 5, 10 years, longer, longer periods of time, like in a longer time window, when we extend the time window, I think the $30 becomes more realistic. But people talking about XRP hitting $1,000, I don't know what type of world we will live in at that point. Hey, I'll be the biggest idiot on the planet because I won't even call myself an idiot. I wouldn't even care because I would have already made what I needed from this trade. And there's tons and tons of other things, and I'll leave it at that because this video is a little bit too long now. Everybody's getting hype about XRP, right? And don't get me wrong, it is an opportunity to make money, right? But you can't get stuck on one opportunity. In the investment in the trading world, there are tons of opportunities every single day. XRP is not the only cryptocurrency or coin that you can trade. It's not the only thing that's going to move um, in this upcoming cycle or macro cycle for crypto. Even outside of crypto, there's over 2,000 plus stocks that are available that are going to move, that are going to do 50, 70%, right? We're no longer, because crypto is becoming more adopted across the world and in other places. I don't think we're going to see the crazy gains that we saw from the pandemic 2020, 2021, or 2014, and all these other time periods where crypto was so volatile because there was less people participating in. Now, the thing about institutions joining in on crypto is that they also provide a lot of liquidity. Liquidity is good to a certain degree, but for traders, it's not the best because the more liquid an asset is, the less volatile it is because there's always going to be a buyer picking up the price. That's how you get stuck in these ranges where price doesn't move because there's just so much liquidity. There's so many people transacting in this range because of the liquidity, right? The price never moved anywhere. You got to think what this was the high back in January, and we're rejecting that high in July. So if you were too late to the party and you bought XRP at the height in January and you held, you wouldn't have lost any money, but you wouldn't have made any money either. So with institutions coming in, that's when you start to see more liquidity. When you don't have liquidity, right? When there's less things, there's less participants in the market, you get these crazier price surges, right? You get more volatility, which is the opportunity, which is where you want to make money. This was a 100% gain. So I'm gonna end the video with that, and I'll finalize it again. My price targets, $5. That's my realistic price target. The oh my god, I can't believe this even happened. Wow, this is crazy. $30. My soft target, $3. $3 and $3.55. That is my soft target. I suggest that if you plan on entering an XRP, you find your soft target. Your soft target could be my $5. It could be your $6. It could be $4. It could be you could have already hit it. Figure that out for yourself, but be careful to the people that are promising you these absurd numbers that XRP is going to hit $1,000 or $10,000. It is extremely unlikely. You're most likely going to see XRP within the range of $4 to $7, somewhere in between that. 10 if you're lucky, like super lucky. But that's it. I just wanted to share this video with you guys so you can get an understanding, actually make sense of things, and if you want to apply your own math to figuring out where you want to go with XRP. And this is what I did. the projected market cap divided by the projected circulating supply. I'm sure there's a better formula, there's a better way or a more robust way to do this, but this is how I calculated it. And with this supply, this also takes an account of a the potential burn rate that's available or that happens with each transaction. But that's it, y'all.